The most common question I get by far is where to X, and in particular where to form a company, but it is sometimes where to relocate, where to set up a bank account. Now, I've talked lots in some previous videos about how this question is a little bit misleading because it fails to account for the substance side, and the lesson kind of post, I don't know, around 2017 or so, is substance is more important than form. So certainly it is not all about where you form. The details behind a company are important. This being said, where you form is important. And so today I'm going to answer the question of where is the best place to form an offshore company in 2022. So let's dive in and discuss it. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the yellow notification bell. Thank you for your support. If you'd like help with setting up companies around the world, optimizing your international tax to pay the lowest legal amount of tax possible, relocating abroad, getting residencies and citizenships, Plan Bs, etc., as well as opening bank accounts, doing asset protection, etc., please reach out to us. You can book a call at calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message to our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Okay, so this question, the challenge with this question is that it really depends on your circumstances, okay? So the answer, unfortunately, is it depends. But I'm going to run through with you a series of scenarios that will give at least a few places to look, okay? And I'll cover a few places that you maybe might not normally think of, and I'll try and go through a few other scenarios. So be aware, it depends on where you're living, what the tax treaties are, etc. You have to pay attention to, how are you accepting payments, what are the currencies you're dealing with, what are you going to do in terms of banking, where are your staff, where are your customers, what types of customers there are. So it's a pretty complex question, and that being said, let's go ahead. So one of the places would be for non-Americans who don't have anything to do with the US. Often a US LLC can be a functional structure. For people who are in a lot of parts of the world, if the substance works, someplace like a UAE company could work. It's especially good, of course, if you actually live in UAE, but not particularly good if you have like an e-commerce business, something that you have to do, payment processing, okay? Then if you're dealing with euros, and especially if you're needing to take advantage of tax treaties, then you could be in a situation where someplace like Cyprus can be good. For holding companies, Singapore can be good. If you are in a place where you need to have a higher paper tax rate but a lower real tax rate, Georgia and Mauritius can be good. If you are in a place where you don't need banking at all, then one of the Caribbean countries, such as BVI, might be good. If you're needing some sort of substance locally and you don't have to accept payment processing, and you're in a situation where you're getting, you need some sort of tax treaty, then Labuan could be good. I would say that countries that have maybe lost favor would be, well, actually, let's go back before I go on to those. In certain circumstances, Romania, if you're below a certain threshold, can be good. If you have a very unique set of circumstances where you can work some non-resident rules, Hungary can be interesting. And aside from that, I would say maybe you could find certain circumstances under which Hong Kong can be good, although much less common than it used to be. The final one that I would sometimes consider would be a UK LLP. Okay? Now note that a UK LLP is probably one of the most misunderstood structures, so I have a video on that. You can go and check it out. A Maltese company. Malta we try to avoid because it's really bureaucratic and expensive and things like this, but there are certain circumstances where it's the best option. And although not as compelling as it used to be, once in a while we would look at Estonia. That's pretty much it for companies, with the possible rare exception that maybe you could make an argument for either Isle of Man or Jersey. Okay, so that gives you kind of like an overview of the world's places to look. Now, be aware that we kind of can quickly narrow this list down, all right? So payment processing is competitive in Europe and the US. So if I'm in a payment processing basket, what I'm going to say is I'm immediately going to say, can I use a US LLC or a European company? Usually Cyprus or UK LLP being the top two choices, and then looking at Malta or Estonia or Romania as some other choices. Okay, so that's those ones. In theory, you could have Isle of Man and Jersey in there. They both get the same payment processing, but very rare that that would be the right circumstance for you. If you're not dealing with payment processing, then usually your kind of default places to look would be UAE, again, possibly a US LLC, possibly a Labuan company. This is where you would get into some situations where maybe you would be looking at Cyprus. Cyprus, typically only if you're not going to deal with US dollars, difficult to deal with US dollars in Cyprus, okay? Or possibly in some rarer circumstances, some of the others I mentioned, Hong Kong, Georgia, Mauritius, etc. But usually Georgia and Mauritius only if you're looking for that higher apparent tax but lower real tax, recognizing that Hong Kong is changing their rules, and so that's a little bit different. Then you're going to, of course, look at, do you need to navigate some with respect to the country you're in? So, for example, do you have tax treaties you need to deal with, etc. So anyway, that's a very broad slice, of course. It's probably not deeply satisfying for some people because you would like to hear, hey, if I'm living here, then go there. Now, I try and do country by country focus examples. So if you have a specific country that you're from, go and check out those videos, and you should have a nice explanation there. So if you have questions, put them in the comments below. If you'd like specific help, please reach out to me. Again, share the video, like it, pass it on to your friends, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next video.